Hi there, Plant Girl here. So I'm out planting my potatoes today. I just have one kind of batch of potatoes left to plant. I've already got all my in-ground potatoes done, and I've planted up several bags of potatoes. They're just sitting to the side here. I have 2, 4, 6, 7 varieties of potatoes planted already, and I just have some of my saved potatoes, seed potatoes left to plant in buckets here. So when you plant potatoes, you plant them generally from seed potatoes. You can plant seeds, but I believe it's several years before you can grow them out into an actual potato bearing plant. And these have been sitting for a little while. I had stored them in a refrigerator over the winter, and then I took them out actually a couple of months ago. They've been waiting. Usually I plant my potatoes the end of April, beginning of May, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So it's mid-May, May 17th today, and they're well chitted or sprouted. I don't always wait for this point, but this is where they've gotten to at this year for me. These are red Norland potatoes, and like I said, they're just some that I had grown last year, and I just saved the ones that were kind of golf ball size or smaller to plant out for next year. If you have potatoes that are larger than that, you could cut them down. Each of these sprouts, or maybe you can see a tiny little eye here, you want to get like 2 or 3 of those usually is what people recommend per seed potato. So you could cut your potatoes so you have several sprouts or eyes on them, and then just leave it for the cut sides to heal, and then you can plant them usually about 24 hours just to set out, just to kind of callus over and heal, and then you could plant them like that if you want, or if they're just a good size, you can just plant them this way. So I'm going to be planting mine in buckets. It's 30 to 50k winds today, so hopefully you can hear me all right, and things aren't blowing around too much to see what's going on. So when I plant my potatoes, I like to start with a mix of peat moss and homemade compost. I don't have any peat moss this year, so I'm just using homemade compost, but it's a really nice airy compost. And I already have a little bit in this bucket. It's about a quarter full or so, just probably about 5 to 7 centimeter layer on the bottom. And then I have some, this I think is sheep and steer compost. Oh, got dirt in my eye. And I put a few good scoops of that on top. These are just fabric bags that I've made. This one that I'm working in, and the others that I planted up already. And they're just made out of a felt that I had came on appliances that we purchased at one point, just as a protective thing while they were being shipped, or most of them are made out of landscape fabric. So get this manure out of the way. So this is the thinnest one I have. It's out of a little bit lighter duty landscape fabric. The rest are felted landscape fabric, which works better, but I had experimented with this one and it'll work all right too. It's just seems to drain a lot faster. Okay, so then I like to usually add some bone meal as well, but I don't have any right now, and it's not worth running out to get it. I can always add some fertilizer in later if they really seem like they need it, but this is a really good compost that I have here, and then the composted steer manure will give lots of nutrients as well. There's a rock in there. So I'm just giving that a little mix. Roll this down a bit so you can see. So I've just mixed it up, and my bag is probably about not that deep now. For this bag, my other bags I just put 2 potatoes each in, but that's because of the varieties I purchased. I purchased sets of 4, so I put 2 in ground and 2 in bags just to see the difference in how they would do. For this, I'll do 4. And I've just set them in the ground with the sprouts facing up. doesn't really, you don't need to get too worried about getting the sprouts going a certain direction. They'll find their way out. And then I'm just going to cover those with the compost again. So these are Norland, like I said, potato, which is a pretty early maturing potato. So I'll expect in about 2 to 3 months that these will be ready for harvest. So I like to just fill the bag up enough to just cover the potato, and then as they grow and sprout, I'll put more soil in, and then I know that they're growing well and things are doing what they're supposed to do. You could just, these are a determinate potato, so they're just going to grow potatoes in this area. They're not just going to keep growing and growing the more you bury them. Some varieties will continue producing more potatoes as they grow up taller. These will produce basically in this space that they have now. So a little bit more compost, and then those will be good. So when I'm done kind of filling these bags up to the top, I'll keep on rolling and filling, and then I'll put a layer of mulch, like grass clippings or leaves or something on top, just to hold some moisture in. And potatoes don't need a ton of moisture, but they do at the beginning of the season while they're first growing and getting that top leafy growth going. Then you want to be making sure they're getting good consistent watering. And then once they've kind of gotten that full top growth, then you can kind of cut back the watering a little bit and let them focus more on growing the roots to get those tubers going. So that's that bag. Now I have this big, I don't know how well you can see it, but I have this big circular bag that I purchased at Dollarama, I believe, a few years ago, and I've grown a variety of different things in it over the years, but I thought I'd give a shot at these potatoes that don't need a lot of soil on them anyways, and just see what happens with them. Like I said, these are just saved seed potatoes, so I'm not out any money really if they don't work out that well for me, but I should get something out of them. So I'm going to dump some of this compost in. Some manure back in there. Okay, so that gives me a nice base to get these potatoes planted on. So let's get some potatoes on here. Some of the biggest sprouted ones going in here. So I'm just spacing them, I don't know, probably 6 inches apart or so. Could be placed a little bit further apart, but this will be all right. So I've tried to grab some that have some of the bigger sprouts on them here, spread them out, and then we'll cover them up with soil. There, I just raised them up another couple centimeters. I'm not sure it really matters, but it made me feel better. And now some of the sprouts are sticking up, so I'm just going to put the last little bit that oh, there wasn't much in there. and that'll be good. So once these start to really get some leaf growth on them, I'll probably just come in with some shredded leaves and cover them up with those. I'll be watering both these bags in really well, just to give them a good start and get them going. And let me take you around and I'll show you the other varieties that I'm growing this year. So here's the other buckets that I have, and you can see that I just have them filled about probably half to a third full right now. Some of these are determinate, some of them are indeterminate. It can be difficult to find information on what, and sometimes I find it very conflicting. So just do your best research on the potatoes that you have, and then I always find it's okay. It won't hurt them to bury them deeper. And if they're indeterminate, you might get more potatoes out of it. So I have 7 varieties that I ordered this year that are, 6 are new to me. 1 I believe I've had before. And then I also ordered more Norlands. Then I have the 2 containers of Norlands that were saved seed there. And then I'll show you my in-ground. Flea beetles have just about destroyed my brassicas already coming up from the ground. Garlic's looking great. Got some onions planted in amongst my tomatoes. And there's my tomatoes. Cozy coats there. There's some celery and peas and carrots over there. And here are my potatoes. So I planted, like I said, I ordered packs. They were 4 potato packs. Someone's gonna ask, so I got them from Eagle Creek Seed Potatoes. That's just where I ordered them from. There's no incentive for me to do that other than I like their potatoes. So I ordered, one was just kind of a mixed pack that of a heritage variety, and then I picked some others. So I have a French fingerling. I have 2 potatoes of those, one kind of in the middle and one towards the back. And then Binchi, which I've grown before and I really like it. It's a nice potato. So there's 2 of each of these varieties. And then I have Road Easterling. And then going down into the next bed, I have Amorosa, which I've seen a lot of from a lot of people growing it. Viking, Sangre, there's Green Mountain, and then the rest is the Norland, some of the Norland that I purchased. And then moving over to this bed here is the one side over there is Norland that I purchased, and then over here is some of my saved potatoes. And as you can see, none of them are coming up. I just planted these a few days ago. So I've been watering them, and I pretty much deal with the potatoes in the ground the same way as I do in the pots. I have a nice fertile soil and I add some manure and bone meal. These beds got bone meal, but I used it all up on the beds. And then they'll just get consistent watering until they're up and growing and lots of green growth, and then I'll slow the watering down a bit. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing how I plant my potatoes out and seeing what varieties I'm growing this year on this windy day. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hey, Bus. Hey, Buster.